It all started off as a mild curiosity in a junkyard, but now it's turned out to be a great spirit of adventure. The history of Doctor Who. The original series ran for 26 seasons from November 1963 to December 1989 and was relaunched in March 2005 by BBC Wales. Well, everyone knows that Doctor Who is a British science fiction series that started on a dark November 1963, and the Beatles were number one with She Loves You. President Kennedy was assassinated the day before, and it delayed the start of a brand new series, which should have started at 5:15, but it didn't start until 5:16.
So the Doctor Who's more important than bloody assassination of a president.
Well, the show had to be repeated the following week. So, and the next episode straight after it. So, it was basically doomed from the start, really, if you could say so. So let me take you back to how it all started. But many people make the same mistake over and over of saying that Doctor Who is a children's program, when in fact it is actually a family show, because it was made by the BBC drama department, so it's a science fiction drama, and not by the children's program department. But it has developed a large adult cult following. What do you think? Do you like it?
Yeah.
Can you remember when you first saw it?
When David Tennant was first on.
That's right, yeah, he was, yeah. So anyway, let's go back right to the beginning. There was a Canadian, and his name was Sidney Newman, and he was the new head of drama at the time, and he loved science fiction, so he had good taste, didn't he? So, yeah, and he was made aware of a gap between schedule on Saturday evenings between a sports show called Grandstand and a pop music show called Jukebox Jury, which was a year before Top of the Pops and Jimmy Savile. And so anyway, by Donald Baverstock, who was also head of programs at the time, he was the controller of programs.
He read Loki from the shop.
Loki, hello Loki, yeah. So Sidney Newman then decided that a science fiction... Do you mind?
Not really. What they call Missy.
I know, yeah. Missy, that's right. She was named after the character. It would be ideal for it. So, as an educational program for youngers, I know for younger people, but a character called the Doctor with a time machine and theme, and for historical stories that sort of goes back and forth, periods of events like Marco Polo and the Aztecs and things like that. There was a couple of actors that were thought of. There was Hugh David, who isn't that well known. Geoffrey Bayldon, of course, many people know as Cat Weasel. And Cyril Cusack, do you mind? You little scene stealer. That's little Loki. Well, he's not so little now. Cast of the actor. But the part went to William Hartnell. William Henry Hartnell was also appeared in a number of films like Brighton Rock, Hell Drivers, but he was in a film called The Sporting Life, I think where this is where the original producer and female Verity Lambert thought of him as Doctor Who. He was 55 years old at the time, and when he accepted the role, and he would be best known for Doctor Who. Now, how do you become aware of him, madam?
You.
He was born in January 1908 in London.
January 8th, 1908.
January the 8th, it was, yeah, it was, exactly. And same day as Elvis. Well, same date as Elvis. Not anyway. But to Lucy Hartnell, and she was a single mother. She was an unmarried mother. And William Hartnell's father was unknown, so he was we won't say it here, illegitimate. But we, when he started out, obviously times were difficult, and he turned to petty crime, and he was also a boxer as well before he turned to acting. But he married Helen McClintock in 1929, and they had a daughter, and they also had a granddaughter, Judith, who produced an autobiography of William Hartnell. So, what's your thoughts on it, Adam?
Don't know.
You don't know. So let's go back to the very first episode. An unearthly child.
I thought your battery's about to die.
Oh, it's almost there. And I can't find my charger. An Unearthly Child is the first story of Doctor Who, and it was first shown on BBC One on Saturday the 23rd of November 1963. A 4-part weekly adventure. And it's scripted by Australian Anthony Coburn, and starred William Hartnell as the Doctor, with Carol Ann Ford as his granddaughter, as Susan Foreman, and Jacqueline Hill and William Russell as school teachers Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright. And it was directed by Waris Hussein and produced by Verity Lambert. The first episode deals with Barbara discovering the TARDIS in a junkyard in Totters Lane in London, 1963. What do you know about 1963, Adam?
I wasn't there, was I?
They meet a mysterious man called the Doctor after following a student called Susan Foreman, a 15-year-old girl. 2 teachers following a 15-year-old girl. That sounds a bit suspect. Yeah, well, we won't go there. I love the dialogue between the Doctor and Ian, you know, that Ian discussing the concept of time travel, and that was fantastic. The line like, if you could touch the alien sand and hear the cries of strange birds and watch them wheel into another sky, would that satisfy you? Would it satisfy you, Adam? That's great script writing, isn't it? What do you think? Yeah. So, refusing to let them go, Ian and Barbara to leave, the Doctor sets the TARDIS into flight, right back to the Stone Age, and a legend begins. So at the end of that 4-part series, An Unearthly Child, on the 14th of December 1963, An Unearthly Child attracted an unbelievable 6.4 million viewers. But then there's only 2 channels back in them days, not like it is now, where you've got zillions of them and so on. It wasn't until the following serial, The Daleks, that the series really took off, and it really took off, and the final viewing figures for that story was 10 million viewers, and so with young children back in that time with their arms stuck out like that and saying exterminate, exterminate, exterminate in the schoolyard. So I did it. I don't know if you did, but
no.
So the first time I saw An Unearthly Child was in November 1981. The BBC, with the idea of Johnny Nathan Turner, the 1980s producer, the 5 Faces of Doctor Who. They showed the first actors who played the Doctor. Yeah, and I immediately took to William Hartnell, but when I saw pictures of him, I wasn't completely taken with him. He looked too firm, and because my Doctor was John Pertwee and Tom Baker. But when I first saw that first episode, An Unearthly Child, completely blown away, and I really took to William Hartnell. I liked him, and I had an action figure, and I would put a little scarf around him like William Hartnell had, and I would reenact that scene. That's when I first saw William Hartnell, Adam. So the story was originally released on BBC Video in 1990, and I did get that. Yeah, it was what was it? A video design by that's it. The art design was Alistair Pearson, and it was released on DVD in January 2006, and it was part of the beginning box set which I have, and I proudly own. So the story is no longer available on BBC iPlayer because of copyright issues. So anyway, sadly William Hunt had to leave due to ill health, and he died on the 23rd of April 1975, and I don't remember hearing that at all. So, and he was only 67, but he must always be remembered as the man who really started it all. What do you think?
I don't know him, don't I? I remember him.
So let me take you all on a journey, a quest to why I like Doctor Who so very much. Well, as with everyone else, I started watching Doctor Who when I was a child in the early 1970s, and my earliest memories of Doctor Who is of Doctor Who. It was Day of the Daleks in January 1972, and it was when the Daleks, episode 4 of Day of the Daleks, on the 22nd of January 1972. So my first memory is that date, and it was actually the Daleks coming up the tunnel with the Ogrons behind them, and that's my original memory. Unbelievable, isn't it?
How many million years ago was that?
That was over 50 years ago, Adam. Thank you for your contribution there. What did I ask him? No, he hasn't long got up.
Oh.
Yeah. So a number one at the time in the charts was "I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing" by the New Seekers, before your time, Adam. And John Pertwee was my doctor. I was absolutely captivated by him. And yeah, as with everyone else, people, when you go to conventions or events or Comic-Con, they ask you, who is your favourite doctor? That is a real difficult one. But if I had to say, if I was cornered by a Dalek and I had to say it, it'll be a toss-up between John Pertwee and Tom Baker. Who was yours? David Tennant, is it? Or Matt Smith?
I haven't really paid attention to him.
No, but you have watched it with me, haven't you?
Of course I have.
I actually like all the actors that played at parts, including Jodie Whittaker. That was a very bold move to introduce a woman into it, because it's not really about sex. It's about the performance, really, when you think about it. And you know, it's not actor proof, and it's become more diverse now, and it's something new on it. It's something I hadn't explored in before. So that was kind of cool. I liked it. Jodie Whittaker. I liked her actually when I first saw her when she removed her head, because I never knew of her.
Removed her head?
Removed the hood off her head. And he's one of my top critics here. He says my videos are boring. Yeah, so anyway,
Never said that.
like I say, I started with John Pertwee, and then I followed with Tom Baker. I liked the scarf and the grey coat and stuff, and my favourite companions would be, I suppose, Jo Grant. I absolutely adore Katie Manning. I'm in love with her. I had a crush on her when I first saw her. When I remember the Three Doctors originally in '73, but I repeated it again in the 5 Faces of Doctor Who season, and I had a crush on her then. And I actually met Katie Manning. That was a dream come true. She kissed my cheek and I had my arms around her, and that was at the Who shop in London in 2001. Some of you might have gone to that. So, but I do like Janet Fielding as Tegan. And I was only 11 or 12 at the time, and it was definitely my hormones kicking in, because I loved that uniform, that air hostess uniform. God, gosh, and the way she'd crouch down and squat. Oh, is she going to give a basic instinct view here? Yeah, and
is this about Doctor Who or your bloody weird
fantasies? Yeah, yeah. So anyway, my favourite monsters would have to be the Daleks, wouldn't they? I know that's all cliched, but I like the way they glide. It captivated me. The way they. That's the cats, by the way. It wasn't thunder or him breaking wind or anything like that.
Listen to that.
I know. So, who's your favourite monsters, Adam?
Daleks, isn't he?
Right, it's going to Daleks. And the way they screech, "Exterminate!" Did you watch that one with The Children in Need one.
No.
Yeah, that's quite original. Again, something that I haven't explored in before. Just when you think it's Doctor Who's a terrible show, they can't do anything more now than time travel, but it seems to have caused divided opinion with Davros before he became a crippled scientist, before his accident, because they say, you know, he was concerned about portraying disabled people as evil. I thought that's ridiculous anyway, because I never thought it, and even disabled people, I've read the comments saying that they don't offended by it. Everything's so PC these days. You can't say anything without getting offended by the PC brigade. You can be racist or homophobic or whatever. But that's totally...
That's just all of Twitter.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, my favourite villain is the Master. My personal favourites would be Anthony Ainley and Roger Delgado. Totally different actors, but they seem to have played it rather similarly. And yeah, it's pretty good. It is, yeah. It's good. So anyway, Doctor Who launched some spin-offs. 2 Dalek films with Peter Cushing that went into the cinemas in the 1960s, 64 and 65. Totally a different counterpart to William Hartnell. Peter Cushing played it rather a much softer, gentler kinder than William Hartnell's stern character. But the Daleks, I thought, spoke so slow, like it needed a battery up in it, you know.
What?
Like it needed a battery up its whatever. Yeah. So the future for Doctor Who, what can I say? Shooty Gatwa, again, an excellent choice. Because I say it's about performance, and this is how wonderful Doctor Who is, that it can be diverse. And yeah, I think the show is in safe hands. A show that can change and be diverse, and you know, it's just attracted another generation of fans, and it's like a complete family. So what's your favourite story, Adam?
Voyage of the Damned.
Voyage of the Damned. I like that one too as well. Kylie Minogue. One of my personal favourite stories is The Green Death, which I'll get the notes for now. One of my favourite stories typically would have to be The Green Death. It was the final story of the 10th season, and with 6 weekly parts. And it was first shown on BBC One in May 1973. It was filmed near my hometown, but I was too young to remember them filming it there. So, but the last regular story of Joe Grant, so Katie Manning, and it was directed by Michael E. Bryant. I met him as well, and we talked about how those maggots were made. They wasn't made out of condoms, like people said.
What? What are you on about?
Well, somebody said they were made out of condoms, blowing up condoms and stuff. So, yeah, because I met Michael Bryant at a one-off Doctor Who event in Gloucestershire. And anyway, the story. The Doctor and Joe travel to South Wales to investigate the death of a coal miner, and are confronted by giant maggots. Joe meets Cliff. Not that Cliff. But Cliff Jones, a professor, and they fall in love. Now then, you know, sex in Doctor Who, Adam. Yeah, the maggots were balloons actually, so they were not inflated condoms as people believed, truthfully. But it was always...
But if it's made of rubber and you can blow it up, technically a condom is a balloon.
Yeah, but Michael's... Yeah, oh God. Yeah, Michael Bryant told me personally it wasn't condoms, because I sat on the table with him and 2 other fans, and yeah, that's right. It was filmed. Yeah, it was known as the one with the maggots and stuff. And it was filmed at Ogilvy Colliery, incidentally, where my Grandad Bill worked there. Because, like I said, it was filmed so very close to where I lived at the time, and I don't remember the original filming. But my friend does, Lee, you know Lee, remember Lee?
Yeah.
He's a former boxer, he's been on television and everything, so, but his career's over now, because obviously he's 55. But he went to the infant school that I went to, and he heard this helicopter and a ringing flying over the school, and Lee ran out thinking it was Father Christmas, but it was John Pertwee ringing a bell.
Yeah.
I know, but when John Pertwee returned to the area, the location, I went up there on a wet Friday afternoon on the 8th of April 1984. I met him again, because I met him twice. I met John twice, and I've met Katie Manning and John Levine and Stuart Bevan, but at different times, not during the filming itself. But it was filmed at Ogilvy Colliery, and it closed in 1975, and now it's a beautiful park. But the nut hut is still there. It's actually
The Nut House.
Nut Hutch. Nut Hutch it was called in the story, but it was actually a farmhouse, and that's still there. But it's called Park Cum Darren now. So if you want to look it up on YouTube, Park Cum Darren, and the viewing figures for that story was, the last episode was 7 million viewers in all, and it was repeated on BBC Two in January 1984. And it was a Target novel publication in August 1975, and released on BBC Video in October 96 as a tribute to John Pertwee, who died in May of that year, and that was a Christmas gift to me that year. And
What, that he died?
no, the BBC Video of the Green Death, plonker. And it was released on DVD in 2004, and a special edition sometime after. Now, the extras, check out the extras, especially the BBC Wales News reports. I'm actually on that. I'm the idiot that looks by the window when John Pertwee goes into the visiting centre. And that's me. I'm like this. That's actually me. BBC Wales News caught me in there. So that's basically it. That's
Was it you being a fan or being a creep?
both, probably. That is 60 years of Doctor Who, and I hope you enjoyed it, even though I struggled because obviously I had to take notes to remember everything. So what do you think, Adam? Your old take on Doctor Who, your earliest memories, because you're the younger generation now.
Well, not the youngest generation. 'Cause
Yeah, but you are the 2005, because I remember you watching the Christmas Invasion and you was calling it...
Ooh,
He was calling it Do, because he's only 2 years old at the time.
I don't remember much of David Tennant.
No, but he's back now. So don't forget, the 25th of November this year, the Star Beast. And yeah, also on the 23rd itself, there's going to be a colourised version of the Daleks, a 75 cut down version with new effects and songs.
Sound.
Yeah, sound, music, whatever. So I'll just say thank you so much for watching, and you, Adam, thank you for joining me. But what are you going to say? To say bye-bye, leave the final word with you?
Done.
He doesn't know.
Alonzi.
Alonzi, fantastic. Montebello. Geronimo!
I was going to say Belen then.
No, I wasn't. So, the Catholic Druid over and out.